It's time, folks. We're finally here. It's the first episode of What They Say. My name's Joshua. This is my co-host, Steve. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, Steve. So today we're going to be talking about the Mandela effect. And before we get started with the Mandela effect, I do have a clip that I wanted to share with you.
Let's watch it. Let's get into
All right, so this is from Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk. Do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
it. Of course, of
Okay,
course.
so I really like him. A lot of his stuff I agree with, and let's get into this right now.
I want to know if you still think MJ's the GOAT or if your stance has changed.
Do you think it's easier to score points in 2025 or in 1995 in the NBA?
I think it's easy to score points now, most definitely now.
Okay. So, therefore, when we look at point totals of LeBron,
Okay, yeah.
we got to take that with an asterisk, right? When was the NBA more popular, 90s or today?
I think the NBA is more popular today.
No, it's not even close.
Like-
NBA's gone down. It's a joke. The last 10 years, who's been the face of the NBA?
Like LeBron,
In the 90s, who was the face of the NBA?
Jordan.
Wait, so Jordan made the NBA more popular and LeBron made the NBA a joke?
No.
The NBA is on verge of collapse. No one wants to watch it. Crowd attendance is down. They got to give away free food. They got to give away free beer. The cable channels are like basically no one wants to watch it. It's like a 3-point contest. No one plays defense. So the League of LeBron is going into a place of irrelevance. Jordan left the league at the highest ratings ever with a cultural phenomenon the way we've never seen before. When you go to the inner city, you go to Chicago, you go to Atlanta, do you say, hey, man, are you wearing Jordans? Or do you say, hey, are you wearing LeBrons?
Yeah, all right.
And I'll close with this. You know how you are the GOAT? You're the GOAT when you don't have to keep on playing till you're 40 and get your kid some sort of, special job just because you're a billionaire. That's how you know you're the GOAT. You're the GOAT where you're like, I just won 6. Thanks so much. I'm retiring. Thanks for playing. The GOAT knows he's the greatest and he doesn't have to keep on playing to prove it.
I want to know.
Steven,
hmm
do you agree with Charlie Kirk?
It's a lot of stuff. Okay, so I agree with what he said, but some of the explanations I don't agree with.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. So I agree with him.
Overall, I do agree with him.
All right. So I actually fell out of watching the NBA. I only watched it as a kid when Michael Jordan was playing. So personally, Michael Jordan made the NBA great. But there's a reason that I wanted to share this, and that's because Michael Jordan was a phenom, right? And they had mentioned his shoes, and everyone's familiar with these shoes, correct?
Yeah.
Could you tell me what the Jumpman logo looks like?
Leg spread, one arm down, other arm up, dunking.
Right. And you've grown up looking at this logo your whole life, I presume, right? Yeah, right. So, what's he wearing? It's a silhouette, right? So you can't see, but you can tell, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the tongue of the shoes. That's all I can remember for some reason. Just the tongue of the
Okay.
shoes, and then the silhouette of his body. But I'm pretty sure he wasn't
Okay.
naked.
So I got a question. Was he wearing shorts or
I
pants?
don't remember. That one right there, I don't remember.
All right. Well, then let me show you this. Boom. Would you say it's this picture or this one?
The second one.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay. So me and many other people remember the silhouette with him wearing shorts. And half the people remember it with him wearing pants. And if you go to his Jumpman logo, 100%, you can see
The pants.
the pants. He's wearing pants all the way
Mhm.
down. Pants. But for some reason, me and a large group of the population that this resonates with all remember him wearing shorts in his logo. So it's just odd that someone that was such a cultural phenom like Michael Jordan in the 90s, we can't even remember his logo correctly. So this is where we have to start asking, am I misremembering this?
Uh,
This
And
is what it is now.
I don't want to be that person that say you misremembering. But because even when I was trying to remember the logo, the one of the logos that popped in my head was the Shaq logo, right? Because Shaq came out with his shoes, and Shaq had shorts on his.
Yes.
So could it be that, or could it be the Mandela effect? It could be the Mandela effect.
Right. So
I don't remember him having shorts though.
that's how it usually starts. Is either people try to associate it with something else, and me myself too. I'm like, okay, I went through the same thought process,
Mm-hmm.
but it just gets crazier and crazier. So now that we're here, let's figure out what is the Mandela effect exactly, because that's something we not everybody may know. So the Mandela effect, I've got this Britannica.com article pulled up. This is the online Encyclopedia Britannica. So they do have a article on it, and they say the Mandela effect is a popularized phenomenon in which a group of people collectively misremember facts, events, or other details in a consistent manner. The main problem with this is that it's all in a consistent manner. We all remember it the same. So if it's a letter missing here or a letter added there, we all remember the same letter being added or the same letter being taken away. You would think if it's just a mass misremembering, it could be any letter in any spot, or there would be bigger things and more things that are misremembered. It wouldn't be in a consistent manner. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what's, I guess, so crazy about this. I'll go ahead and read a bit more of this now. It says paranormal researcher and author Fiona Broom conceptualized the event after discovering that she and others possessed strong yet false memories about the death of South African anti-apartheid activist Nelson Mandela while in prison in the 1980s. Research has found evidence for a specific Mandela effect concerning the misidentification of certain pop culture images. However, intense debate has occurred over potential causal mechanisms, many of which include pseudoscientific explanations. So the origins of this come from in 2009 when this woman had discovered that Nelson Mandela was still alive. And she had remembered, it says here, upon learning that Mandela was still alive, she initially dismissed her memories as a result of misunderstanding. But she says that she also recollected his widow's speech and riots in some cities because of his death. And after talking to a security staff member at a science fiction and fantasy convention in 2009, Broom reportedly learned that others possessed the same false memory about Nelson Mandela's death in prison, with similar details about the aftermath. So this led to, her starting to discuss this with other people, and with the internet the way it is, many, many things have been found. One thing I do want to point out, and it will become a common thing, is that there is a film inspired by it. So there's a film with the name The Mandela Effect. And that'll be a common thread that we're going to see, especially throughout, this podcast's life. So
What is
Steven,
that? I don't mean to cut you off. What is that? You talking about films based
okay,
on?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever something crazy is a conspiracy theory and people start looking it up on the internet, they make a film of that conspiracy theory so that when you're looking it up on the internet, all you get is
The film.
the film, right? So the best way for me to point this out is you know Walt Disney, correct?
Yep.
Do you know what famously happened to him upon his death?
Nah.
It's what's a rumor that he was frozen, so that he could be brought back to life in the future. Me growing up, I always heard, Walt Disney's frozen somewhere. All right, what do you think is going to happen if you look up Disney frozen on the internet?
Oh, the movie. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I got
Isn't
a
it?
question.
Yeah.
I got a question. Who is they?
Who is they?
Yeah.
Who is they?
Or do you not want to get into that yet?
Well, I think that's something that everyone's going to have to decide for themselves who's they.
Okay.
In this instance, I would say this could easily be passed off by writers being uninspired in Hollywood and going for an easy grab, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, when I said they always make a movie of it, I mean, there's definitely powers that be hidden behind the scenes. And during my journey, I have changed who I thought those powers were, right? Until you end up finding Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And since you asked, I do want to show that real quick and share that because I love it. Says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, and against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." So I mean, if they're not on my team, I would assume that they're
They.
somewhere mentioned
Okay.
right here. You know,
Yeah, I asked because DJ Khaled went viral for they don't want us to win. They don't want you to
oh
get
no,
it. So
I didn't know about
everybody was
that.
asking. Yeah. So
Who's
everybody
they?
was asking who is
Okay.
they?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're, I guess, here to discuss on this channel, isn't it? Who is they? This is what they say, and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. Stephen, how did you become introduced with this? I'm sure you're not hearing about it for the first time. You got a story or anything that you can tell?
Yes. When I was younger, it was this movie that I loved to watch
Uh-huh.
with the comedian, I think his name's Sinbad or whatever his name is.
Uh-huh.
It was called Shazam. It was a
Okay.
movie where he was a genie. I swear up and down. So I didn't have cable growing up. We
Do you see
had
those goosebumps?
yeah. Yeah, I didn't have cable growing up. We had VHSs. So when I liked the movie, I played it, rewinded, play. I watched it 24/7. As long as I could watch TV, I was watching it. I'm pretty sure I watched that movie at least 800 times, at least. Now all of a sudden, it's no account of this movie. Is no nothing. It's no nothing. It's no nothing. He even had an interview saying he never made the movie, and now it's a Shazam movie with Shaq or something like that.
What did I just say they do whatever? So now
Yeah,
what happens if you search Shazam movie?
Shaq
What do you
comes
get?
up.
You
Shaq
get
comes
the
up.
you get the Shazam movie with the new Marvel.
Oh, yep, that
That's
too.
it. That's what I'm
That
saying.
too.
And it
With the
happens
Rock.
more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the exact same. Not
Shazam.
only that, that's my intro. That
Yeah,
was
that's
my intro to the Mandela effect.
mine's too. Yeah.
I was sitting in my buddy's garage. It was 2012. I'm scrolling through my phone, and I just see this thing. It's like probably on Facebook, and it's saying something about that movie with Sinbad. Well, it never really happened, and I'm like, all right, oh okay, with him being a genie. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see what they have to say. So that brings us up to our next tab right here. Boom. This is a Reddit post on r/Shazam. This post is 8 years ago, and it says, first of all, let's get this straight. I'm not mistaking it for Kazam with Shaq O'Neal. Steve, are you mistaking it for Shazam or for Kazam with
No,
Shaquille O'Neal? Okay,
no.
so when I first started telling people this, they were gaslighting me, telling me this. No, you're getting
Yeah.
it confused with
Hey.
Shaquille O'Neal. Listen, I'm not an idiot. I know the difference between Sinbad, a comedian, and Shaquille O'Neal, the
Mm-hmm.
basketball player. Also, from my memory, what I remember is not, I wasn't able to watch it. My grandma wouldn't let me, but we would go to the movie rental place, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was on the shelf. And I was asking, can I get that? And she's like, no, that's not the new one. And I'm like, no, I want to watch that one. And she's like, that's not the one with Shaquille O'Neal. So I never got to watch it. So I don't know what's actually in the film that the Kazam film, I believe it would have came out after Shazam. Like Shazam was already out. That was the one I wanted to see, and then Kazam came out with Shaquille O'Neal after that. My grandma was like, "No, that's not the new one with Shaquille O'Neal in it," and I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't watch it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this Reddit post. This is one that I've discovered during doing all my research for this episode, and it says, first of all, let's get this straight. I'm not mistaking it for Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm not mistaking it with Sinbad the Sailor. I'm not mistaking it with Sinbad's segment and all that. Did you watch all that growing up on Nickelodeon?
Of course.
Okay. And I'm not mistaking it for the way Sinbad dressed in the 90s. I'm not mistaking it for the Hanna-Barbera Shazam. And no, these are not the VHS covers. So he's leaves some links here. This one doesn't work at all. This one leads you to this picture. So he said this is not the cover. So this is just one that someone's made and tried to.
That's not the
recreate it.
cover. That's not
Right.
the cover.
So this is one that people will come up and say, no, you think this is it. And we all agree this is not the cover. So we're going back into this and it says, okay, deep breath. Here are the facts. Released early 1994. Disappearance date, early 2000s. And it says Shazam was played a lot on the Disney Channel a lot. At first, it was a movie and then later became a short-lived series. It really hurt Sinbad's career. The movies, actors had Sinbad and Jonathan Brandis in it. Do you know who the boy was in it? I couldn't remember who the boy was, but I
don't
also
remember.
seen
Nah, I don't remember.
Jonathan Brandis is actually an actor that died in 2003, maybe. And so he died when I was only 13. I was still young.
So around the time the movie
right around the time the movie
okay.
disappeared.
Oh, okay.
So Jonathan Brandis was in the movie, but not in the series. Possibly Danny Pintoro, Brian Bonsall, or Jonathan Taylor Thomas could have replaced him. The movie's characters are a brother and a sister with a father who doesn't give them enough attention. The VHS cover had Sinbad has his arms crossed and his eyebrows raised and says Sinbad bigger than the letters Shazam. Says Sinbad is wearing a genie's outfit consisting of a golden turban, golden pointy shoes, vest, big hoop earrings, and puffy pants, and it was all purple and gold. And then he says in the series, there was this huge ship in the middle of the desert. Sinbad is in his lamp watching the Sinbad's actual comedy show.
It's crazy because as you saying it, I'm remembering it more, bro. That's crazy. Go ahead, my bad.
Says no, because these are reactions that I had, like when I'm hearing it with other things, right? So says the little girl wastes a wish on fixing her broken doll. The climax is a scene with a swimming pool. I only wrote the stuff that multiple people from various sources remember. And Steven, you're one of these multiple people, apparently.
I promise you, bro. The part where he was inside of the what's the name, watching his self. I swear, I promise you, bro. I remember that part.
Yeah. So what's going on? Because we both know that this this movie doesn't exist, and like you said, Sinbad says he never made it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm gonna have to ask you and all our viewers throughout this is just keep asking yourself the question: am I going to trust my memories, or am I not?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't trust your own memories, what are you going to be able to trust? And I just want to make it clear, like, you're not on Reddit, are you, Steven?
Not at all.
You've never came across this post before?
Nah, not that one.
All right. So if you scroll through, there's plenty of people through here that all remember it. It's just a very common thing with Shazam. But here's what I found was the oldest post. Let's see. Can we see? There you go. This was on IMDb, and this is a screenshot from webarchive.org. It says, was Sinbad ever a genie? Posted by user KASERP. It was posted Wednesday, April 6th, 2005. I don't know if this is military time, but I would assume so. So probably close to 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it says he was a member since April 2005. So he probably became a member just to make this post after searching through IMDb. Now, in 2005, the Mandela effect hadn't been coined yet. It wasn't until 2009 that this lady, Fiona Broom, had discovered this. So this is something that is even pre-concept of it. And it says, my roommates and I were talking about Sinbad last night. and we all asked each other, what was that movie where he played a genie? And after doing research, we couldn't find anything, but we're convinced he did. We can picture him in his genie outfit. Does anyone know if he ever played a genie in anything? We'd really appreciate an answer. So this is the first notice that I see that someone notices that the movie's missing. But it doesn't stop there. And in this episode, we're going to go ahead and cover TV and movies. In our next episode, we're going to have to touch on the rest of everything, and I've broke it down into categories of other media, and we've got some that's history, since it is based after history and named after a historical figure. All right, so what do we got here? This is after
Oh my God, it's pissing me off.
as soon as I started, I heard about Sinbad, right? The first thing I did was start looking for other things that fell under this name, Mandela effect, right? And like I said, imagine back 2012. I'm just sitting there and I see Sinbad was not a genie. Then I see Berenstain Bears, all right? So the first thing I do is I call my sister and I start asking her, "Hey, do you remember that movie? Do you remember these books? Do you remember this?" And I had to make sure that I wasn't crazy. That was my first reaction. Make sure I'm not crazy. See if anybody else remembers this stuff. So here we are. You said it's making you mad, so you might know where we're going with this one.
Mm-hmm.
The Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears. So again, I wanted to point out what's so messed up about this is it's consistent. No one changed this B to a V and said, "Oh, I remember him as the Berenstein, not the Berenstein." All right, it's always consistent. We all remember what, Stephen?
Burstein, man.
Right? Yep. Berenstein Bears. And I don't even remember it with this extra E, but I'll say that just because I was a kid, I could have been misreading it. I remember Bernstein Bears. And now it says Berenstein, right? I just called them Bernstein Bears, but it was definitely Steen, not Stain, right?
Definitely.
100%. And now it is Berenstain Bears. All right. So even if you go through here and you start looking, no, it can't be right. It's got to be Steen. Someone's got to have an old book somewhere. There used to be things, and you can still find it with other stuff. It's called residue. It's like a piece of what we remember as it was. So for this residue, sometimes it's someone, if you remember it this way and you dress up that way, right? And then only to find out it's different. But with this, some residue, we used to be able to find old VHS tapes where someone had recorded it themselves and wrote on it, and they had wrote with an E, right? Like I've never as a younger person, I also VHS, had just what was on TV, didn't have cable, didn't, so my grandma would record Power Rangers for me. And it always said Power Rangers. She never like replaced the O with an A or, wrote the wrong. She always wrote the name of the TV show. So I would assume other people are writing exactly what they see, and they would write Berenstein Bears. So there's pieces of this residue all over, and you'll find it. And I'll try to bring some more up throughout. But we both remember it, Steen, not Stain.
That's a fact.
All righty. All right, so let's get right into the next one, Pikachu. All right, so I want to be the very best that no one ever was. All right, I grew up on Pokemon. All right. So the question is, did Pikachu have a black spot on his tail? So this is actually, the answer is no. The answer is no. But I would also like to say we remember it differently. I don't remember the spiky part. I remember a straight, just black, thick bar on the end of his tail. And if I still had access to my MySpace account in 2007 on I drew a big giant Pikachu on my buddy's back. Like we were pretending we were doing I don't know, I was 17, probably too old.
Tattoos and stuff.
Yeah, probably too old to be giving each other pretend tattoos, but I was giving him a tattoo of Pikachu on his back. Right.
That's crazy.
And I know for a fact I drew a thick black line on Pikachu's tail. And I did that because that was the picture of Pikachu I was looking at. Right now, no matter what you look at, if it's Pikachu, it's right here. Boom. Yellow tail. But me and millions of people who had our childhood influenced by Ash and Pikachu remember it with a black bar. Some remember it spiky, but I just remember straight black bar.
I remember it's spiky, but then
But you do remember it like this?
yeah,
with
I
the black
remember
on
it's
it?
spiky, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Definitely.
he does it.
But I don't even know who that man is on the right. I don't even know who that man is, bro.
Hey, you can go back and look at 1999 Pokemon cards right now, and it'll show Pikachu like that. Everything. So we start asking, like, have they changed it? Because that's the first thing you want to say. Well, when did they change it? You start going through, when did they change it? They didn't change it. And you go back as far, like, I still have Pokemon cards from 1999. I have my original collection. And if you go look, boom, that's the Pikachu they show. You go watch the cartoon, that's the Pikachu they show. And it doesn't add up. So you, again, are you going to trust your memories or not? You know, we're just starting to scratch the surface. So we can't get into it yet, but let's see what else we got. Boom. Who are these two? And who's the real guy?
Curious George.
So
I
Curious
remember
George.
him having a tail, bro.
You remember a tail. Wouldn't that be crazy if I told you Curious George does not have a tail? Wouldn't that just be like, no? What is real anymore? What is real? If Curious George doesn't have a tail, what is real? But I got to tell you, Curious George does not have a tail. You remember Curious George. You remember the books, all that. I mean, we grew up around the same time. Where's the tail at? So when you discover this, what's the first thing you do? When did Curious George quit having a tail? They say, Curious George never had a tail. You're misremembering it. Which, again, I don't know if I'm okay with that, right? Because here's the thing. I've had the same neighbor for the past 7 years. I've never just went out there and called her by the wrong name. And she said, you didn't know my name was Dolores for the past 7 years? Why are you calling me Pat? That's never happened. I've never misremembered anything like that. Why all of a sudden are we just starting to, I've never put my keys in the same spot every day for 5 years and then realized, oh, it's not actually a cup you're putting your keys in. You're putting it in a giant bowl, right? Things just don't change like that when they're that ingrained into you. Like Curious George had a tail, people. I don't know where it went. I don't know who took it, but someone did, and we'll find out. Boom. Oh, what is this, Steven?
What? No, no, hold on. This is not real.
Steven, I know.
So you wait. It's Toons.
With
Is TOONS.
Why would it be that?
Because it's a cartoon. That was the
Okay.
whole thing. Looney
That was the whole
Tunes.
thing.
It's
Okay.
cartoons.
And this
Why
is
would it
not
be
the same word,
tunes?
right?
Yeah, that's tunes like music.
Yep, but guess what it is?
Nah, bro. I didn't see this one.
That's all, folks. It's Looney Tunes, TUNES.
You got me looking this up, man.
I'm sorry. I'm
Crazy,
sorry.
bro. No.
I'm sorry. So first thing, you got it. No, right?
That is crazy. I ain't seen this one. This one I ain't seen.
Yeah. How do you feel about this?
I feel violated because I know because it don't even make sense. The whole thing of the Looney Tunes is they was loony, you know,
and
what
they was
loony
toony,
mean, and they was cartoons.
Yeah.
Looney Tunes. Why would it be Looney Tunes music? Like the music, like that don't make sense, bro.
So
now they just playing in our face, bro.
Yep. Let's look for this real quick. There was a spinoff called Tiny Toon Adventures, and if you look at Tiny Toons, they actually spell it TOONS. So this is more residue. It's not the real thing, right? This isn't Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes got changed, but when we see residue of it, Tiny Toon Adventures. Did you ever watch Tiny Toons?
Of course. Come on now.
Right.
Yeah.
So with Tiny Toon Adventures, they spell it TOON. Why would they change it from TUNE?
Makes no sense. Makes no
Right.
sense. And if it's a tiny, because there was them smaller like kids and stuff. If it was smaller, why wouldn't it be the same thing?
Right. But if you look, I just searched Looney Tunes with TOONS.
Yeah, I
and
did too. I did
all you're
too.
getting is this. It's TUNES. You want to know when I realized this? I have a Toon Squad shirt from Space Jam, and I saw one day that it said TUNE Squad, and I said, "What the fuck? This ain't the Toon Squad." I said, "What is going on?" Like,
Is that what the fuck?
I said, "No." Okay, so I was like, I got an off-brand shirt. Someone sold me an off-brand shirt, and it says Toon Squad, right? But no, that's what it is. Let's go ahead and look at the. I'm going to type in TOONSQUAD, and it's not the TOON squad. It is
It
the
don't even
Toon.
look right.
It don't even look right, Steven. It's the Toon Squad. I'm
That's
sorry.
crazy, bro.
I'm
I
sorry.
did not know this one. I did not know this one.
All right. So before we go any further, I do want to say, because of the Mandela effect, there are going to be, with every conspiracy, there's going to be fakers, right? You're going to have, whether it's an alien thing. Oh, I got aliens landing in my backyard. No matter what it is, someone's going to want to join the train. Hey, do you guys remember this? And that's what we're going to focus on real quick right here. This one right here. It's called Vincey Masters, Born to be a Karate Meister. Now, I can't do as good of a job as PJ Williams did on the Real Conspiracies YouTube channel. So it's about a 25-minute video. If anybody wants to watch it and see what he had to say about it, it's worth a watch. I watched it myself. But here's the gist of it. I'll go ahead and go through here. The movie is supposed to be Sean William Scott as. Are they going to let me see it? There we go. As the main character. He is Vincey Masters, born to be a karate meister. All right. So
That would have got canceled in today's world.
right.
Well, saying
Yeah.
no homo and
Right. Meets the dojo. Yeah. So you can see just from the look of it, it's very early 2000s, right? You get that American Pie vibe, the butt cheeks on the corner of it just to show that, look, hey, look, we're cool. Whatever. But so what had happened was, and I think this person who wrote the article actually believes that it's real. But what had happened was these guys here had, I guess, decided one day they wanted to make their own Mandela effect. So it starts with this guy, Brad Evans, saying, "Does anyone remember a 2000s comedy starring Sean William Scott where he gets electrocuted at an aquarium, then gains martial arts powers? I think it's called Vincey Meister's Born to be a Karate Master or something like that. I can't find anything online and I feel crazy." To which this guy, Nick Ciarelli, responds, Are you sure you're not thinking of Bulletproof Monk? That's a kung fu movie that Sean William Scott's in." And they go back and forth. And then the same guy who just replied to him also happens to, as you see, he finds this DVD. Same guy. Right. So it was just a stunt. They were just trying to make it up. And I don't remember this. Do you remember this?
No,
So
at all.
we don't remember the fake one, right? I don't remember it. You said you don't remember it, but yet it's fake. At the end of the day, these guys had went through here and tried to create their own Mandela effect, and then even went as far as to planting all of this. Going to a Goodwill, peeling a sticker off something, putting it on it, and being like, "Hey, look, I found this. This is a fake, made up album cover. You can see at the bottom of the photo here, it's all hanging out. It's too big for it. It's just fake." I mean, they could have just literally made the cover, walked in there and slid it in there and just
That's what it looked like. They made that mug and printed it.
Right. So this is something that happens with all conspiracy theories is people trying to jump on it, and it takes away legitimacy from everything that me and you have already talked about. Everything that we've already talked about was real for us. Like, it was real for me. We even both had the same introduction to it with Sinbad and Shazam. And that's usually one thing that gets a lot of people is the Sinbad and Shazam thing, because how can we all remember a movie that never existed, that Sinbad himself says he never acted in, but me and you can agree that it's definitely a thing. So that goes into our causes, and that's something that we're going to have to discuss on the next episode. But we'll go right back into it. Now we're in our Disney section. Steamboat Willie. This is what Steamboat Willie looks like now. And if you go back, he always just looked like this. Is he missing anything to you?
I can tell.
So me and a bunch of people remember him having suspenders, especially in the Steamboat Willie cartoon. In the Steamboat Willie cartoon, he's sitting here and he's doing this, and right after this, he goes like this and pulls his suspenders out and snaps them. All of that's gone, completely gone, never happened, not in the Steamboat Willie cartoon at all. So this one doesn't resonate with you?
Nah.
Okay.
But I didn't really like. I seen. I don't know. This is what they played in like beginning of older movies and stuff, right?
Yep.
Older Disney movies.
Yep.
Yeah, I would fast forward past that part.
Okay, well, I hope you didn't fast forward too quick because we got some more Disney coming up.
But
But I'm glad you did. Same thing with me. You know, these Disney movies, the reason why these are, you know, we all feel this so much is because exactly as you described earlier, we watched them constantly. You know, if you don't have cable and you can't turn on all these different channels, you know, you're watching movies over and over and over and over until the thing would eat the tape or the tape wouldn't play no more.
I swear. I
you know,
swear.
So
I swear.
there was a lot of this that we watched over and over.
Yeah.
So here's one that I want to ask you. Snow White. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene here. I don't want to play all of it because I don't want to get copyright strikes. But it's when the witch goes up to her mirror and she addresses the mirror and she says,
Mirror
what?
on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
Okay. All right. Say it one more time. I just want to make sure.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? I don't remember
Okay.
for real.
Nope.
Something like
That's
that.
exactly how I remember it.
Okay.
100%. Exactly how I remember it. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Okay. Just out of that part right there, if something has changed or was not mirror, mirror on the wall.
No, it was definitely
Okay.
the only thing why I say I think is because I don't remember if she said the fairest or the finest. I can't remember that
It's
part,
the
but
fairest.
I remember mirror, mirror on the wall for sure.
Okay. All right. So then I got something I kind of want to show you.
Okay.
What wouldst thou know, my queen?
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
What'd she say, Stephen?
Ain't no way she said magic mirror on the wall. Hold on.
Should I replay it? You just want.
Nah. I heard it, but
And how do you feel about that?
because ain't it movies that made parodies like.
That's called residue. Yes, that's what I'm saying. You start seeing this residue where other people have copied it and they copy it as they remember it, right? Which is mirror, mirror on the wall. So if someone's going to copy this in another movie, which could be a thing, you know, they would say mirror, mirror on the wall. And those exact things that you're remembering are residue. Those you're like, hold on, they did it here just like that, just as I remember it. That's residue. So what I've noticed, and I just want to leave this little breadcrumb trail, is it always seems to be the thing that's changed, not things that were inspired by it, the thing, right? So if I were to draw a Looney Tunes picture when I was a little kid, that picture would still say TOONS because it's not the real thing. It was inspired by it. That's residue. That's residual evidence that we all find. Like, look, I drew this picture from when I was a little kid, and this is how I drew it. Why would I draw it wrong? Right? So just like that, it's all residue. But I just want to make sure.
What wouldst thou know, my queen?
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Okay. Stephen, is there any way that you're misremembering this? Is there any way that as a kid, the only part of that sentence that you misremembered is magic mirror and not mirror, mirror?
No, because that's something that was like like big, like people copied it, like that was like, how can I explain it? It was like a quotable from the movie. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. I get what you're
So
saying.
it don't make sense, bro.
It doesn't. It
It don't
doesn't.
make sense.
It doesn't. So that's not all of it when it comes to Disney. One of the main things is the Disney intro. Um, and this Disney intro, do you remember it when it would start from the top and the Disney castle would start to form, right? And then Walt Disney, the word would
At the
come across the
bottom.
bottom. And
Yeah.
then you remember Tinkerbell showing up and taking the thing across, and then she comes back through and ping, she like dots the I on Disney.
Yeah.
Do you remember it like that?
Yeah.
With hold on, with Tinkerbell and
With
everything.
Tinkerbell, yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is what the classic Disney intro is.
Yeah, it's two different ones, ain't it?
So there's other ones, but they're not the same. They're not. So when you can look and Google for other Tinkerbell intros, and they're not the same. The best you could do is find a fan made one that is exactly as you remember it.
I
But
remember that one, and I remember the Tinkerbell one. I just thought it was for like different things. Like for instance, like when what's that? Dun, 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 dun. You know that intro?
oh, like the
Dun, dun,
20th
dun,
Century
dun.
Fox.
Right.
Yeah.
So like when they did the whole Simpson thing, like
Oh, how
I thought
they?
it was like I thought it was
Okay,
just like a different intro type thing.
I got you. I got
But
you.
I didn't know that they erased the whole Tinkerbell thing. I
Yeah.
remember that though.
So the Tinkerbell one does not exist at all. Does
That's
not
kind
exist.
of crazy.
You can find the special Tinkerbell one for like the Tinkerbell movie, I think it is.
That's kind of crazy.
Let me
So
get
that
it.
don't even make. So it's saying the mirror, mirror on the wall quote. It say it was originally mirror, mirror on the wall, but they changed it to magic mirror on the wall.
And when was that movie made? In the 60s? So that would have all been done years and years and
Yeah,
years
that don't
before
make
we
sense. In 30 to 37.
in
Damn, that's
37.
hella
Okay.
old.
Yeah.
1937.
Yeah.
Why would they? It don't even make sense that they. I don't know, bro.
Right.
It's about
Right.
to. Oh, I'm about to get angry. Kid.
Yeah. And this seems to be the one that is at the beginning of all the movies. So some people do remember too, like you were saying. And what happened to me is when I was over at a friend's house and she was playing an old movie for her son, and this was when I was like probably 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, when did they take Tinkerbell? Like, when did they take Tinkerbell off the front? And she was like, she's never been on there. And she's a fan of Tinkerbell. Like, she's one of those girls that would have like Tinkerbell on her keychains and stuff. And she's like, she was never in there. I'm like, no, 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 no. I remember she used to come across, and it was like from the tip of her wand, this line would be made, and then she'd fly over here and go
Mm-hmm.
tink and dot the I, and then she'd fly like off screen. It's not a thing anymore, man. It's not a thing. So that's gonna lead us away from Disney, but still staying in the realm of cartoons. We got our boy Scooby Dooby Doo. All right. Did you watch Scooby Doo?
Of course.
Okay. Um, Now Scooby's best friend, Shags. Boom. Which one is it, Steven?
He definitely. I know, bro. He
So
definitely had an Adam's apple, bro.
describe the two pictures here. What are we looking at for people who
So
can't see?
one got an Adam's apple, the other one don't.
Okay.
He definitely had an Adam's apple because when he used to eat this, well, first off, when he used
Anchor
to
points.
and that
Yep.
mug used to go.
Yep. Exactly as you said. When he eats, you remember seeing that thing pop out,
Yep.
right? You know he's always walking around with Steven, my friend. I've got to tell you, Shaggy does not have an Adam's apple.
That's crazy, bro.
He does not have an Adam's apple. So what's crazy about this is you Google it and you start looking.
What?
So there's people who have tried to do it, but look, no, no, no. There's these pictures here like this, but no Adam's apple, never, ever.
He
Look,
don't even look right, bro.
yeah, they'll have people like this. So this is from the Mandela effect. Someone had drawn this in, and you'll find pictures of like that if you look for it, where he does have an Adam's apple, and then you find the source and you say, oh, this was fan
Somebody drew it on, yeah,
to show how they remember it. But no, he's got none. So we both agree Shaggy has an Adam's apple. Google tells us not only does he not have an Adam's apple, he never did.
Like, do that look like Shaggy to you?
No,
bro?
I don't know this guy.
It don't even look like.
I don't
it
know
don't
him.
even look like him, bro.
Yeah, no. Which one of these two are you going to trust to solve a mystery, Steven? This guy with this slim neck, not solving any mysteries around here. No.
I don't know that man, bro.
Right. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, since we're still in the realm of cartoons, there's one that came on TV when we were younger. And it was a little snippet from a show called Animaniacs. So Animaniacs
watched it every morning.
Had two mice inside their show that had their own like little mini show during the Animaniacs whatever half hour, and that was Pinky and the Brain. Do you remember Pinky and the Brain?
Of course.
All right, so I'm gonna say it. You just fill in the words. All right, Pinky, are you blank? What I'm blank?
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Okay. All righty. So there is something that I want to show you then, because it's not okay, Stephen. It's not okay.
It is?
Absolutely. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Whew. Oh, I'd say the odds of that are terribly slim, Brain.
That don't even sound right.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Whew.
Stephen, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
That don't even sound right.
Not only does it not sound right, but did you ever as a kid go around and say, hey, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah. And never said, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Right.
And Pinky and the Brain is one of those like I said, quotables. It's one of those quotable TV shows where, like you said, anchors. I remember playing Pink because I was tall and skinny. My cousin was short and fat. We used to say their sayings. We used to say, what are we going to do today? And try to take over the world. Like we used to say, like it was quotables. Yeah. Are you pondering? Nah, absolutely not. Don't remember that.
I got to play it one more time.
It is?
Absolutely. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
How?
All right, it sounds forced.
It's crazy. As more and more of these show up, and the reason I wanted to cover TV and cartoons, movies today is because of how we connected with them when we were young.
Mm-hmm.
We have these just connections, like you said, playing it over and over and over again, that there's no way that it could just my memory could just be wrong, right? But that's what they say. So
that's what they say.
That's what they say. Richard Simmons, do you know who he is?
Of course.
Okay, here's my
he
question.
Was hella big.
Here's my question for you. Let's see. Here's a picture of him in Sweating to the Oldies. Where is his headband and his wristbands?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, what if I told you he never had them? He never had sweatbands at all.
You want to talk about what you say? Residue.
Go
up. Yeah. No. Go back to that. Look at them kids that's dressed up like
right. So that's what I've got over here is look at this. All these costumes. When you see a costume of him, look, they always include a headband And so why are people dressing up like this, Steven, if you never had it? If they didn't watch it with their own eyes,
Yeah.
right? If they didn't watch Richard Simmons run around in his headband and his sweatbands here, why are they dressing up like that? And this is more of that residue. This woman right here, look how fantastic she is, sweating to the oldies. She's got her headband.
Fantastic she is.
Yeah, she's ready to go she's ready to get sweaty. Okay. But Richard Simmons never had. Now,
that's strange, bro.
I'm so numb to him now because, like I said, 2012. Well, that's a long time ago now. So for 13 years, I've just been having people tell me that my memories are wrong and that this is reality now. This isn't groundbreaking. This isn't going to destroy my world because Richard Simmons didn't wear headbands and have sweatbands. But if he didn't, then who did? Who did? Who was the man dancing on my TV?
Who did?
Screaming at me to get moving. And who was that man? If it wasn't Richard Simmons, I'm confused, man. I just don't know. We have more questions than we do answers. But now we're getting ready to get into the movie section, and this one is definitely resonated with me just because I grew up watching Star Wars. I loved it. It was something that I could watch with my dad, you know, when I still knew my dad when I was young. And it was something that he liked. So do you remember a famous quotable saying? I think you might see it right there.
Yeah, the biggest one, Luke, I am your father.
Yep. So what goes down here is this is in the second movie or the fifth movie, depending on how you view Star Wars. And he's talking to Darth Vader, and Darth Vader says to Luke, he says, Obi-Wan never told you about your father. And he says, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And then Darth Vader looks at him, and he says, Luke. He addresses him, Luke, I am your father. And whether or not you've seen this, you've had to have heard the quote, Luke, I am your father, right? So, Stephen, I'm going to have you listen to this.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
Say what? That's what he was going to say.
Right. So he didn't say Luke.
He doesn't even address him at all. He says, no, I am your father. What?
I'm not. I didn't really watch Star Wars growing up, so. But like I said, it's a lot of spoofs, a lot of other movies, TV shows that use that quote, and they always say, "Luke, I am your father," every single time.
Yep. So one of my favorite ones is from This Is All the Residue, right? The leftover bits that didn't get changed. And one of my favorite ones is in the 90s, I loved Chris Farley, right? He was so big. I loved Beverly Hills Ninja, Tommy Boy. But in Tommy Boy, there's
this the big dude that was that did.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
In Tommy Boy, he's sitting there in front of a fan because, you know, you talk through a fan, it chops you. Right. So he gets in front of the fan. So he sounds like Darth Vader and he says, Luke, I am your father. And everyone knew that was a quote from Star Wars. No one was like, oh, I wonder what he's talking about. You know, it's just more residue. So all of these may not resonate with everyone, but at least one of them will. Right. And I think there's a movie that I think everyone's seen it. Every single person. And that film is Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump. Everyone's seen Forrest Gump. I used to watch this thing on repeat, just like you're talking about. Rewind, play. And Forrest Gump, what would you say is the most famous line from Forrest Gump?
Life is like a box of chocolates. You talking about that one?
Yeah. And who told him that?
Mama.
Mama always said what?
Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Okay. And
Something similar to that. I ain't
right,
watched it in years.
all right, but it's life is like a box of chocolates.
Right.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if any of that was changed, would you say this is not okay, or would you just be like, no, I could have misremembered it?
Nah, because again, other movies made spoofs and stuff about that.
All
TV
right,
shows.
so this clip is directly from Prime Video. This is their clip of Forrest Gump. So this is 100% legit. Here we go.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
How's that feel?
Why
You
would
wanna
she
hear-
even, why would she even say was? That don't even make sense. If I'm talking to you in present tense, Josh, why would I say life was like a box of chocolates? You never know. I'm giving you a quote about life. Why would I say life was like a box of chocolates? You never know what you're gonna get. I would say, hey Josh, life is like a box of chocolates, man. You never know what you're gonna get. That
Yep.
don't even make sense.
I agree. So, is there a chance that we misremembered it or misheard it growing up? Is there a chance that it's always said was, or is there something fishy going on here?
I don't know. I ain't watched Forrest Gump like that, but I'm wondering if now this stuff got me questioning myself. So,
Yep. So, are you
'cause
going to
like
trust your memories? You got to.
but that's what I'm saying. I never really watched Forrest Gump a lot like that. So I watched it maybe twice my whole life, and it was hellas ago. So what if the quotes on the spoofs or the TV shows was more grabbing to me? You get what I'm saying? I watched them more. I was more attached to them, and they said it wrong. Of course, I'm gonna go off which one I saw the most, right?
Sure. Sure.
But that's why I went to that. Don't even make sense. If you telling your son a quote, why would you say life was like a box of chocolate?
Yeah. 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 It doesn't make sense. And then you get to the same thought process that you just went through. Maybe I heard it wrong, but then that begs the question: why would they quote it wrong?
Mhm.
Why would they quote if they're trying to quote Forrest Gump or do a satire? Why would they quote it wrong? Doesn't make no sense. And to change that word from was to is.
Yeah.
So this is another thing that children of the past 20 years won't understand. But do you remember since neither one of us had cable, we got to watch the same commercials. Do you remember Publishers Clearinghouse commercials?
I remember the name, but all the commercials kind of going blank on
So
me.
it was a van. It would show up to your house. They'd pop out of the van with balloons and a big check. A man would walk to the front door and give a check that said $1 million to
Yeah.
someone who was so excited to be a new millionaire. All right. So the old man, his name was Ed McMahon. And I'm going to go ahead and show one of these commercials just for nostalgia's sake. This is a 1993 Publishers Clearinghouse commercial, and it's the whole 93 vibe.
Atlantic to Pacific, Great Lakes to Rio Grande, real people when they're rich. I never want anything all across the land. Miracles can happen. Publishers Clearinghouse, the house where dreams come true. And I cry.
So that's Publishers Clearinghouse. They'd show up and they'd give you a big check that said $1 million. So what I thought about what was weird about that commercial upon seeing it is where was the man that gave the big $1 million check, right? So his name, as we all remember it, it was Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon would show up, give you the check. Here, I've got a picture of him right here. I'll go ahead and show him to you. Boom, Ed McMahon. Do you recognize this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is Ed McMahon, and it says false. False. because the claim is entertainer Ed McMahon was a spokesperson for Publishers Clearinghouse. Context: there's no evidence that McMahon ever worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. He was, however, a spokesperson for American Family Publishers. In old television commercials for American Family Publishers, the word publishers appeared much smaller than American Family, and perhaps because the company knew that so many American households had confused the two brands, believing that McMahon worked for the competition. So this is from Snopes.com. Snopes.com, they are the biggest, I don't know, I guess they're funded by whoever they is, because if you want to know if something's happened, you get up on Snopes and they will shoot it down just as quick as anybody else. So before we leave Snopes, though, I want to say that this residue that we've been talking about, there is residue of it. You will see, old video. If you just, search the YouTubes, you can find old videos of people talking to him, whether on late night shows, or even making the joke, oh, well, Ed McMahon's going to show up and give you $1 million check, right? Because it was such a common thing going on right then. And I'm sure there's many people listening right now who just realized Ed McMahon's not in it, and this was the one that did it for him, Ed McMahon. So here's something that I find when I searched for, Ed McMahon Publishers Clearinghouse, was the Snopes article, right? But I also found this other article here, and this is from repeatreplay.com, and it said Ed McMahon commercials for Publishers Clearinghouse. A look back at a television icon. That's the name of the article. Ed McMahon commercials for Publishers Clearinghouse. It's the name of their article. Right after we just got told that it wasn't a thing. Said he was a household name, known for his work as Johnny Carson's sidekick on The Tonight Show, all of this. But they say right here, Ed McMahon's role as spokesperson for Publishers Clearinghouse. Ed McMahon first began appearing in commercials for Publishers Clearinghouse in the early 1980s. His role was to promote the company's sweepstakes contest, which offered participants the chance to win large cash prizes by entering their names in the drawing. McMahon's warm and affable personality made him the perfect spokesperson for the brand, and his recognizable voice and face helped to make the commercials a hit with the viewers. He had this famous catchphrase, "You may already be a winner."
I remember that.
Okay. One of the most memorable aspects, I do remember it too, by the way, but it never happened. One of the most memorable aspects of Ed McMahon's commercials for Publishers Clearinghouse was his signature catchphrase, "You may already be a winner." This phrase became synonymous with the sweepstakes contest and was often repeated by McMahon in the commercials. And there's his prize patrol. It goes on. I'll leave links to the articles for anybody who wants to check it out. But me and apparently the writer of this remember Ed McMahon delivering checks, big $1 million checks, and it never happened, Stephen. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But here we are. We're getting close to the end, and this is the A-Team. Now, there's a couple things going on here with the A-Team. We all know Mr. T, and this is before my time, so I never watched it. But there's things I know Mr. T's in it. I know Mr. T was the driver, and I know he drove the van. And let's just get into this first. This guy right here. A lot of people, and if you're watching, you can see right here, this guy I'm circling, will remember this man, and go ahead and say his name. Okay, you're wrong. It is not Mad Dog Murdoch. His name is Howling Mad Murdoch. Now, for me, this doesn't resonate with me. I never watched the show, but I've heard of Mad Dog Murdoch. So when I was first told, like, his name's not Mad Dog Murdoch, everybody remembers him as Mad Dog Murdoch, but his name is Howling Mad Murdoch. And no matter where you look it up, it'll say HM, Howling Mad Murdoch. He's never referred to as Mad Dog. Was never a thing. But there's another thing here with the A-Team, and that's the van. So residue, right? Stephen, my neighbor, and let's see, right here, if I have, there we go, it's right there. if I took the picture, by the time I've edited it, you guys just saw the picture. My neighbor has this van, but it's black on top and black on bottom. And that's how everybody remembers it. Is this black van with black on top, black on bottom, has a red line going up and a red spoiler on top. Sometimes it's orange. I guess it really depends on the light. But there's no reason why anyone would misremember it as black because it's clearly gray, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, let's go ahead and just look real quick. To find more residue. Because there is. So everyone seems to this seems to be it now, but every once in a while you'll find
They're right there. Yeah.
right there.
Mm.
My neighbor, like I said, if I took the picture in time, I'll go ahead and edit it in right there. Here it is again for if anybody missed it the first time. Boom. That van. So this makes me want to go to my neighbor and say, hey, buddy, you know your paint job, which would probably cost you a pretty penny on that van that you only bought because it matches the A-Team van. Do you know that your paint job is wrong and that it's supposed to be this silver color on top? Just to see what he would say. Because I'm assuming he wouldn't take it very kindly to know that his van's now the wrong color. So, Steven, does this resonate with you at all? Do you remember seeing this van? Have you ever seen this paint job before?
No, that was before my time.
So one thing that we will be discussing because Mr. T is actually involved in a different Mandela effect, but everyone's gonna have to wait till next week to learn about that one.
Don't change Mr. T, man. Don't.
Oh
change
man, it's just crazy when you see the connections because it's not him, but he's involved in it.
Okay.
He's involved in it.
But you want to know what's crazy though? So
I do. I absolutely do.
So we all know. I'm just looking at the source, right? And we know how hard Comic-Con people go.
Yeah.
Right. They wouldn't make a mistake like that. I don't believe any bro. I've been to Comic-Con. My girls love well, I said my girls. My girl love anime. So I go to Comic-Con and the investment that these people time and effort that they put into to get the exact replica cars, exact replica fucking fur for their suits and stuff like that, bro. They wouldn't make a mistake like that whatsoever.
So I'm glad you actually noticed that because I didn't even see that this was from Comic-Con Brussels. Yeah, this was from a legitimate fan, just like my neighbor across the street there.
Mm-hmm.
A legitimate fan of the A-Team. And for me, this is almost like if I was going to dress up like Ash Ketchum, you know, but instead of wearing a blue vest, I wanted to just put on a green one for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to put on the vest. You're going to get it, like you said, as close as you can, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the residue, you know, the little bits and pieces that are left over that remind us that we're maybe not crazy, but maybe we can trust our memories. So I've got one more, and I ended on this one for a reason, and that's because of what it is, The Matrix. The Matrix is a movie that is very symbolic, and a lot of people, you can take that symbolism as you want, right? Have you seen The Matrix, Stephen?
Yeah, I watched it a couple times.
Okay, so it's about, you know, breaking free of the constraints or the confines that this reality has set for us, or whether or not this reality is real.
Red pill.
And exactly, the red pill. So in that pill scene, Morpheus approaches Neo and he offers him a red pill and a blue pill. And he says to him, do you know what he says to him?
No.
I've got the top of it right here because that we went and made a meme out of it, Steven. Like, this is a meme now. You know, like, what if I told you the center of your chicken nuggets isn't really chicken? You know, it would say something like that. So if we're going to make a meme out of it, I mean, I'll go ahead and get through it. So he says right before, when he offers the two pills to him, the red pill, the blue pill, You know, he tells him blue pill, take it, and you know, every essentially you're
Everything
gonna go
will
back
stay
to
the same.
take the
Yeah.
red pill, and you're gonna get to know the truth. And then he takes the red pill, and as he's reaching for it, he says, you know, what if I told you everything you know is a lie? You remember that?
I remember that quote.
Enough people remember it that we made a meme out of it. This is a common meme, right? But what if I told you that line was never in the movie?
Then what was in the movie?
It's not there.
Ooh,
That whole line,
period.
the scene is there.
No,
He
I'm
just-
saying that
he
phrase.
does- that phrase is not in there. He never once says, "What if I told you everything you know is a lie?" That phrase is removed from the movie The Matrix now, and it is no longer in there. Check the transcript. You can go through and go to Reddit, and you'll find a bunch of people being able to remember the line. Everyone remembers it so much, Stephen, that we made a meme out of it.
That's crazy.
But the line was never once said. So, as we're ending on this, with the symbolism of the Matrix, with that specific line, what if I told you everything you ever knew was a lie? With that specific line in that specific movie being removed and never existed, Stephen, what if I told you everything you knew was a lie? What if? Are you going to be able to trust your own thoughts? Are you going to be able to trust your own memory?
It definitely make you second guess.
At what point, you know, because we can always go to Google and ask Google, did this happen? No, that never happened. Google, is this? No, that never this. At what point are we going to stop trusting Google and stop trusting what everyone's putting around us and just trust our own memories? So that's going to wrap up our TV and movie part for the Mandela effect. Stephen, how do you feel? We've been here for a little over an hour.
Violated.
Man, do you feel like maybe I took something from you?
Yeah, man,
Someone did.
Oh, yeah, I feel violated.
Yeah.
Hold on. It was one that you didn't bring up that I was expecting you to bring up.
Go ahead.
Fruit of the Loom.
Mm-hmm. So we got more next week, and if they want it, next week we're gonna go ahead. Yep, we're gonna cover other media. So other media is gonna be, you know, statues, songs, anything that's not TV and video, but it's still like in our top in the other media. But I've also got a section for brands, because guess what? Brands are changing right in front of us, and I like that little thing you just left them dangling there for them. Come back next week, guys, and you'll get to hear about it. But then also history and the flip flops. The flip flops, they're interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed our show. This is our Mandela Effect, episode 1. What they say. This is just covered TV and movies. If you like what you saw, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave us a thumbs down. If you got your own Mandela Effect that we didn't mention for TV and movies, leave it in the comments. We all want to hear it. Okay, if you think we're crazy, tell us. If I want to hear your theory on it. And at the end of next week's episode, we're going to go ahead and cover possibilities. What could be causing this? Is this a real phenomenon? Is it all in our heads? That's all something that we're going to be able to get into next week. So for now, I just want to leave you guys and let you know, I want you to know yourself, know your thoughts, know your heart, and above all, know Jesus Christ.